Oil and gas plays involve hugely collaborated efforts, and when these efforts come to fruition, it's time to drill wells. And when it's time to drill wells, it's time to lease Crown petroleum and natural gas rights on parcels of land. Crown land is land that's owned by the government in the name of the monarch. In Canada, about 89% of land is Crown, with 41% being federal and 48% being provincial. The leasing of this land brings revenues to our governments. And here in Alberta, a large portion of that revenue from leases comes from oil and gas companies, of course. Depending on the region of the province, a company will have 2, 4, or 5 years initially to drill a well on that leased parcel of land before it goes back to the Crown. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into this process, and there are many rules and regulations that come along with that. But the point is that leases expire if the land isn't productive, potentially productive, or if drilling doesn't occur. That land and the rights go back to the Crown. In fact, over the last 4 years, over $5 billion has been spent on Crown petroleum and natural gas rights in Alberta. A drilling rig is an exploratory operation, so this means you're looking for hydrocarbons and drilling a new well. It's a good gauge on land use. Let's take a look at the drilling rig counts for this week in Alberta. According to these stats, drilling rigs are down 25% in utilization, and that's down 25% from this time last year. Think about all the land that's potentially going to go back to the Crown as drilling decreases. You see, when oil and gas companies have an opportunity to drill or let their land go back to the Crown, they'll typically let their land go back because it's cheaper to do so than to drill wells. And this means less revenue for the government. I didn't hear any plans for losses in revenue as a result of leased land going back to the Crown in the NDP fantasy budget. Did you? I've heard of companies paying millions of dollars for these land leases. In combinations, there's no telling how much revenue will be lost, and there's no telling what else the NDP has missed in their budget. So I have one question for you. How does the notion of no PST still sound? For TheRebel.Media, I'm Holly Nicholas.